words unsaid, through heavy burdens, the paths we tread. From the songs we sing to the fears we face, we find our strength in shared embrace. Voices rising, hearts awake, through every moment, the steps we take. Discuss the pain, reflect the fire, transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to converse, a bridge to start, healing the world, one open heart. Every voice, a story told, through the new, through the old. Bound by love, the ties that bind, in every struggle, hope will find. Discuss the pain, reflect the fire, transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to converse, a bridge to start, healing the world, one open heart. One open heart. So speak your truth and light the way. Through darkest nights we'll find the day. Courage to converse until we're free. A better world for you and in shadows deep, where silence grows, a spark ignites, a courage shows. We break the chains, the walls we climb, together we can redefine. Voices rising, hearts awake, through every moment, the steps we take. Discuss the pain, reflect the fire, transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to converse, a bridge to start, healing the world, one open heart. From the battles fought to the words unsaid, through heavy burdens, the paths we tread. From the songs we sing to the fears we face, we find our strength in shared embrace. Voices rising, hearts awake, through every moment, the steps we...
Welcome to Courage to Converse, where we discuss tough topics, reflect on personal experiences, and explore paths for growth and understanding. Before we dive in, I want to acknowledge that some conversations may touch on sensitive or challenging issues. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or support. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available to help. In the U.S., you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME to 741741 to reach the crisis text line. Remember, our goal here is to spark meaningful conversations while fostering respect, understanding, and personal growth. So let's get started.
Oh, it says
Good evening, everybody. We are back with another episode of Courage to Converse. Like I said before, we were absent for a couple weeks, and we came back, but we had some good things going on. If you missed it, maybe in the future you can come see our shenanigan event. It was okay the first weekend, second weekend. We had a lot of fun together. We'll just say that.
right.
The other thing, again, coming up, we have the Inked Nation Tattoo Expo. We will be there. LA and Smiley will be doing SFX makeup and applications. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be giving away tattoos, fake tattoos to the children and the kids and the adults who aren't ready or don't have the means or just too scared or whatever reason to get a real tattoo. Tonight we are talking about a topic that some people don't like to confront. You know, we talk about RBF, or some may better know it as resting bitch face.
Mm.
Um, we don't know that our the way we communicate non-verbally with our body gestures, our facial expressions, our hands, or just lack of response sometimes puts off sometimes the wrong kind of vibe, and sometimes a vibe that it was not intended to be as well, right? But having that open source of communication between folks always helps. So before we get started, Jojo, you have anything to talk about?
So, like when we were talking about doing this topic, one of my favorite things is not it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Also, the tone of your voice and stuff like that. It's not just the folding of the arms and stuff like that that always is the giveaway.
What do you
Sometimes
mean?
it's your exactly. Sometimes it's your eyes and everything like that. It's you're rolling your eyes when you're talking to me. Well, what do you expect? I'm gonna react to that.
Right,
You know. Sometimes it's tone. It's not what you say, it's how you say it
right,
or how you convey it with your body language, with your eyes and things like that. Hands
right.
is
LA,
another topic.
you got anything you want to lead off with?
You nailed it.
So yeah, um, we touched on a few of them, but some of the nonverbal cues out there, are body posture, right? If you look at LA right now, she's crisscross applesauce. She's all pretzeled up with her feet. You can't see her feet are not dangling on the chair; they are wrapped up.
Yep. Crisscross applesauce.
So, the facial expressions or lack thereof sometimes has a huge impact on how people, perceive your engagement with the conversation or lack of engagement with the conversation. Eye rolling, size, can mean so many different things to different people depending upon how you do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hand gestures, right? Like you're talking to somebody and your hand just fist balls up down your side or whatever. Like you might not realize you're doing it, or maybe you do realize you're doing it, but it can put off the wrong image, right? Or so many different things. So, where have you had a time where you personally have had, you've given off the wrong vibe to somebody based on your facial expressions or your nonverbal communication?
Oh, it happens all the time. To me.
It happens all the
Yeah.
time.
All the time.
You give off the wrong impression.
Misunderstood.
Yeah.
Misunderstood. Well, I mean, yours are aggressive.
Some of yours are
those aren't
also-
nonverbal. No, I'm just kidding.
Some of
Passion.
yours.
It's
Right,
passion.
It's not aggression, it's passion.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's aggression.
Have you ever been told you've had RBF?
No.
No. Have you ever been told you've had RBF?
No.
No. Right. Like, what do you mean? You say all the time. Then, what do you mean?
Oh, people mistake what I'm saying. Like, or are you mad? Like it just happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into the house and you just walk on by and just keep doing what you're doing. Like you're not even going to socialize or whatever. Like, are you mad? I'm like, no, I'm just focused.
Was this Amanda or Peanut?
No, Margaret. and
Margaret.
I, we were talking out over at Chucky's.
Yeah.
It was, and he was like, "What was that about?" I said, "She was only joking around." But that kind of stuff happens a lot because
Mhm.
Peanut will ask me a million times. He'll be like, "Are you mad? Are you upset? Are you mad?" I'm like, "No, I'm just focused on what I'm doing."
Right.
You know what I mean?
I
But
mean-
it's so easily mistaken.
Mm.
You know what I mean? A lot of times.
Right.
And people also have to understand too, it's just like art. We all interpret music differently. We all interpret a painting differently.
Right.
A lot of this stuff. Now, the pros, like a detective or FBI profilers and stuff like that, they're trained to look at your nervousness,
Right.
your eye movements. If I'm talking to you right now, Joe, and my eyes dart directly to the right, I'm lying to you.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking to the left and then coming back to looking at you, I'm trying to recall what I was trying to say at that time. That goes right along with this topic too, trying to find deception and stuff like that too. It's not just
Right.
Are they upset? Are they unhappy? Or, what's going on?
Or maybe just a lot going on,
Exactly.
you
But
know?
you mentioned that balling up your fist. That could be your way of restraining yourself from getting to another level
Right.
in that conversation. And sometimes that's the nonverbal cue that hopefully the person that you're talking to can pick up on. But nowadays, social cues are so skewed because of the advent of
These
these,
little guys right here, yeah.
because you can't get anything from text like that. So it's very easy to misunderstand, misconstrue conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
'Cause
hate.
there's no emotion
I mean,
in it.
I enjoy texting because it's convenient, right? You can respond when you have the time or when you're ready to, or
Mhm.
you know. But and I like with my kids, it's their generation, right? We
Right.
always say you got to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
Like I feel honestly that I can get my message across to my kids with texting.
Hmm.
However, I gotta be careful because it's easy to misconstrue things.
Hmm.
Well, why are you mad? Well, I'm not mad. I'm just chatting with you. You know what I mean?
Or
Um,
I'm explaining.
right. I try to tell my kids like both of them have boyfriend, girlfriend, stuff like that. When they break up with them, you're not going to do that over text. That's cowardly.
Right.
You're gonna go meet the person and you're gonna talk to them because or if you got a problem, you're gonna talk to them. At a minimum, vocally over the phone, right? But in person's always better because of the nonverbals can just put off so many different vibes. So, you got anything to add to that, LA?
And sometimes though, me and my husband will be so opposite ends of each other. We're not really understanding what each other's saying, and we'll have to separate. And we're able to actually, because text takes out the emotion and takes out the tone, we're able to sit there. He'll be in the garage, and I'll be in the living room after an argument, and we'll sit there and make up over text. Yeah, because it's obviously time after we've cooled down or whatnot. But a lot of times, sometimes text will work for us because it does take the emotion out of it.
Right. You don't have those connotations,
Right, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
And you don't have
So
the
I think it just
tonality
depends. Yeah,
changes and all
I
that
think
Right.
it just
either.
depends on the situation.
Yep. So, do you find yourself sometimes having to personally check yourself when it comes to your nonverbals? No?
We have this thing on TikTok called "Fix Your Face,"
Mm.
and you'll hear somebody say "Fix your face," and everybody will be all like, "Wait, me? Is it me? Is my
Why?
face
Because
going
someone's
off?"
talking and they're like,
Yeah,
and you're rolling your eyes or something, and you don't realize
or
it?
their face is saying more than it should at the moment. It's like
Yeah.
fix your face.
Yeah. Yeah. I've run into that. I've worked from home for 10 years now, right? And man, if I worked in the office right now, my face would probably piss off a lot of people because it's like some of the people that either say things that probably shouldn't say or say things out of context or just aren't responding when you're expecting them to. It's just like, you can roll your eyes because you're not on camera. You can mute yourself. I'm like, oh my God, like what you can do those things. So if I went into the office again, I think I'd probably have to fix my face quite a bit. Actually, it's funny because when I did work on base, I had a buddy. He's on Facebook. I invited him on here. I don't know if he's here, but um, we were in a team meeting in an office. The office was about this big. I think we had like 8, 9, maybe 10 people in there, and there was some aggression going on, little tension, and someone was like, what's your problem?" He's like, you're my problem. I'm like, I feel like that would have been me, like going back in an office these days, because again, people not holding their weight or not being there or saying things that are just off the wall, like, really, dude. So
I've had to do it several times in public.
really,
Yeah.
why so?
Well, like when Peanut and I go out and stuff like that, like I'm sure like everywhere we go, oh, I want that. Oh, I like that. And I, I do everything that I can to hold tight,
So you're saying nonverbals to him though, not
I am
to the public,
no, but
but
I
in
have
public.
to pay attention because when I
Ah.
do those to him, other people are looking at me and are like, oh, he's about to lose his shit on this man. You know what I mean? and I
Right.
have to put myself in check. We were at uh Olive Garden, and someone from Alabama was texting and driving him insane, and I'm like, why are you even? My phone is in my pocket. We're supposed to be enjoying this lunch that you so desperately wanted to go on.
Right.
Put your phone down. You know what I mean? Put it down. Don't even pay attention to it. Sometimes the best response is no response whatsoever.
Nonverbals can
Right.
can help in situations, or I mean, might help your situation, but it might aggravate the other person on the other side. But
Which that could be the
the
intention too.
intention, exactly. Yep.
You're already aggravating me and you're ruining my lunch with my husband. No, I'm
Right.
sorry. Put the phone down. Turn it
I was
off.
gonna
I
say
don't
that's what
care.
a turn the volume off and put the phone down situation,
Exactly.
right?
Just
And that's what
leave.
ended up happening. But our waiter noticed the look on my face and was like, "Is something wrong with your food?" I was like, "No, no. There's something wrong with that phone that's sitting on the table."
Yeah, something. So they see your facial expression and it's like a disgust. So
Yeah.
they start
Yeah,
assuming that your
exactly.
food, there's something wrong with your
There's something
food,
wrong with me or the
right?
food, or did I do something wrong? Did I forget something?
Right.
No, no, it's not you, I swear.
Yeah. So it goes back to judging a book by its cover. First impressions make a huge difference on people. You come in there and you know you're in there and you just
Exactly.
if that's just you all the time, people might be intimidated and might not want to, but you might be the nicest person. Nobody's ever told you, you look mean. You look like an
Right.
asshole.
Right.
You know, um, so if Nick's watching, that's how I interpreted Nick the first time. I was like, this
That's
dude,
funny.
you know, like he looks like a big burly guy and everything, and I'm like, he's gonna be an arrogant asshole. He's coming from Lake Joy, all these things, and like he's just the exact opposite though.
Oh
So
yeah.
so don't judge that don't give that initial impression or take that initial impression as who that person is.
Right. Exactly.
Talk to them, get to know them. This goes back to many episodes we've talked about, the empathy of putting yourself in somebody's shoes, understanding who they are, where they come from,
But you
and
can't do that until you get to know them.
right.
And yes, first impressions, yeah, they're important, but that's not who the person is.
Right.
You don't know what they're going through that day. You know what I mean?
That day, or it
Or
could be
that
more than just
month,
that day.
oh
It
yeah,
could be a
absolutely.
whole lot more than
Oh
that,
yeah.
and that makes a difference. But that goes back to just trying to be a better person. Like, yeah, if they came across as a bitch, maybe there's a reason, or an
Right.
asshole. Maybe there's a
Something's
reason,
happening.
and talk to them. Like, are you okay? What's going on? I've tried to make it a habit. You make it a habit every day to reach out to everybody in the circle. How's the day? Today's gonna be a good day. So it's encouraged me to do it more. To folks out there, like, hey, what's going on? Mostly the men, because the men's mental health stigma thing has been like weighing on my heart a lot lately, because there's a lot going on in the men in the circle that I want to make sure that they're okay, right? And that nonverbal communication going out to them, in a positive sense, make sure that hopefully they see that I got their back, right? I got their six. Um, you know, but then on the other side of it, I'll send other things, the
Oh
nonverbals,
yeah.
like, what is he trying to say? What does he mean? So, but it goes back to that two-way communication. You got to be able to check your face. Don't be mean. Don't be mad at me because I'm like, hey, you're looking.
Choice.
Yeah, I know who you are. Like, you're not trying to be, but if new people are coming around, they're going to see that
Right. Exactly.
aggressive. But I'm like, no. No, she's got passion. Like, that's what it is.
Right.
So I know, because you see how I'm talking right now. This is how I always talk.
Right.
Like it's a different manner. And we could be the exact same person, but because of the way you look, or your perception, the way people you dress, or the way the cars you drive, things like that, also have an impact on how people perceive you.
Right.
We can say the exact same way. Our voices can sound the same, but because you present it differently, someone doesn't like you. So I say all that because it is important to provide that feedback to people, right? Like Jolie, like, she's been told, that she has an RBF, and she does. Oh,
Oh yeah,
don't even, you know that girl has an RBF.
she's got one to be proud of though.
Yeah.
She is good at it.
But if people really knew her, she's quirky, she's a
Oh,
weirdo,
so
she's super sweet, super fun to be around and everything, but people at school, like, because she's at school, she doesn't want to be at school.
Right.
She's just walking around, but she's happy in her moments, right? Like around her friends and everything like that. But going between the hallways and all that, she's just, bitchy. But if people really knew her, they would know that she's far from that.
Yeah.
Everybody has a point where they deserve to be a bitch or an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our moments.
Yeah. You guys have anything to add on to any of that?
Well, that's like you were talking about what you do with checking in and stuff like that with us. Like one of the things that I don't even know if you know this, but he'll walk by me and he'll go, "He's tired." He's
Yeah.
rubbing his head. He's tired.
Yeah.
And he'll tell Peanut, "He's tired. He needs to go upstairs. He's tired."
I mean, you get, but I
You
get to know you.
seeing that.
I can sense things, and you've come up to me like, hey, there's been a few times you come to me, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, and you think, well, I don't think you really are, but I really have a lot going on in my
Right.
mind, right? Like,
Which I know that.
right, and but then there's been times where you're like, are you okay? And then we're like, and then we start talking about things, you know what I mean? But it's a two-way conduit of communication, right? That's the important piece. Is if you sense something, there may or may not be something going on, but
Right.
until you address it, if there is something going on, and if someone has something against you at the time, and you don't confront it, we talked about this last week and before, it may build and build and build until it's uncontrollable. You know what I mean? So,
But also picking up on those things that we were just talking about, like just in passing, those are important too.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Because sometimes that's what keeps people from jumping off of the bridge.
right. Well,
A
like,
lot of people don't understand.
or you'll push yourself,
Right.
or like, you're tired. You probably, no, I'm good. No, we got this. You just go rest. You need that rest, because if you don't listen to your body, it's gonna give up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're not giving up. Your body will give up.
Yep.
So,
You're gonna sit down, fall down, or lay down. Either way, you're going down.
so let's see who's. He said the podcast is about nonverbal communication, so no response is the best. That will never fix it. Have an open mind and understand. It's very true. You gotta be able to have an open mind with somebody, and don't get offended by someone's response. Question them about their response. Just like verbal communication. If you don't understand something that I say, what do? You're going to ask me to clarify it, right? Nonverbal communication deserves the same merit. You know what I mean? Like, well, why'd you roll your eyes? Oh, I didn't mean to. Did I really roll my eyes? Or roll my eyes? Why'd you roll your eyes? Because you're an idiot. Yeah. Would you make that? What face? And then you can call someone out on their bullshit too. Which they deserve. Just like you would call them out if they verbally said something. I have this debate with Jolie all the time about her, and mumble things under her breath, or rolling around and eyes rolling and the Ned jerking and all, like, and she's like, I wouldn't mean to. No, I'm not stupid. So we talk about it.
Right.
I'm more angry talking about it, actually, but until we talk it through and she explains, and just like you gotta respect your parents, and you gotta respect the situation. You can't just roll your eyes and act like nothing happened, and
Right.
and we're not going to put up with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's disrespect. So, how can we give feedback about nonverbal cues without offending someone?
Well, you can't control whether or not they get offended.
Right.
You can just, have the conversation as gently as possible, and if they're offended, there's nothing can't control how somebody else is going to perceive the conversation.
Right.
So, but then at least you did your part.
Right. I think that's the important piece. You've done something about it. You've confronted it.
Right.
Because again, that person might not know that they have the RBF. And some people might be afraid to confront it, but if we do confront them about it, it makes them aware, and then they become a more pleasant person. Or they're just like, that's who I am, but I'm a nice person. You know what I mean?
Right, or they might not. They might be miserable about something completely different, and they don't realize that it's coming out in everything that they do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I
It
have,
could be that sparks that conversation.
Mhm.
Well, if you knew what was going on, you would look like this too. Okay, well,
What's
let's
going
talk
on?
about
Yeah.
it. Come
right.
on.
Yeah. There's a guy at work right now. His dad's going through some health problems and things like that. And every morning we have a team meeting and stuff, and he's normally bubbly and happy and everything like that. But you know, he just wasn't the same today. You know,
Right.
so I reached out to him.
Monotone.
And he's, and I know he's upset about it. So I reached out to him, just let him know, like, hey man, like, that's your dad. Be there for your dad. This job will always be here no matter what, and we got your back, but take that time. There's bereavement leave and stuff like that, because it seems like it's about that time, he says. Take the time and be there with him. Take the leave that's entitled to you, and don't feel guilty about it.
Right.
Because family is all you got. So just wanted to know I was there, and like, but that nonverbal cue of his facial expressions, said something to me. You know what I mean? And it's being able to detect those things and confronting them, talking about them is what matters. At least, again, these are all personal opinions of ours. Just none of this is facts. Take it as you want.
Right.
Sometimes it's just their thinking face. Right, but you don't know it's just their thinking face until you reach out and like, hey, why do you make that face? Oh, I'm just thinking.
Right.
I got sidetracked and was thinking about something else.
Or you could literally be sitting here talking to me,
And you zone out.
and I'm completely thinking about something completely different. And you're
Get
like,
in your
You're
face.
looking
at
My brain is not hearing a word you're saying.
Right.
Yep.
yep. And that's,
Just in the
I'll catch
zone.
it usually though, and I'll be like, wait, what? I didn't hear anything you just
Yeah.
said. Can you repeat that?
yeah. And that's the thing is, I feel bad for having to do that, but I will do it, and there's especially as I get older, I think it gets worse. Sometimes I got to, hold on, wait, just give me a second. Let me get this other thought out of my mind. And then, can you say it one more time, please? I'm sorry, but it's pretty funny. Do you think people overreact to nonverbal signals?
I mean, I think people overreact to everything, so
There's a tendency to overreact no matter what.
there's always going to be some level of overreacting in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to overreact.
Now, I think I could probably overreact, especially to like Jolie's. But what does Jonathan say? He said, "There's a reason, but there's no excuse."
Right.
Right. The reason I overreact is because I'm her father, and she doesn't need to disrespect her parents. And maybe her response of her rolling her eyes and all that wasn't intended to disrespect, but it was a sign of disrespect in my eyes.
Right.
Right. So I'll angrily talk about it and confront it just so she's aware, but it probably is a slight overreaction, but
But again,
But
that's
if
meeting
it's-
them where
if
they
it's-
are.
Yeah, and
too.
if it's serving the purpose of teaching her disrespect, like what disrespect is, it's not really overreacting.
yeah, because if we don't keep it in check, it could get out of control.
Right.
Right. Well,
And
and
even if
it's
it's
a
just
different
I'm not trying
generation,
to be
too.
disrespectful, I'm just frustrated. Well, then you need to learn a more constructive way to convey your
and that's
frustration.
that's
your
actually what we talk about.
frustration to us.
What did you say?
Frustration. I don't know.
We're
Your
making shit up around here.
Yeah, combining words. You need to figure out a better way to convey that emotion.
Well, and that's
Rolling your
actually where our
eyes.
conversation goes. He's like, I wasn't meaning to, but she'll explain her reason, but not the excuse of why as well, right? So the confrontation, I think, is important, again, because if we don't confront it, she'll continue to do it, and it can get out of hand, right? And then get into true disrespect levels. So, I think, the nonverbal overreaction, I think it's the opposite a lot of times. People will overreact with their nonverbals. For instance, rolling their eyes, the sighs,
Oh yeah.
unintentionally, and then
Yeah, it's over dramatic.
Mm-hmm. And
9 times out of 10, that is for attention.
to see if other
It's
people
to elicit the attention, right?
right.
Because there's something on their mind. clearly, if they're going that heavy with it and laying it on like they're getting ready to win a Golden Globe. You're not Susan Lucci. Calm down. Your eye about
But at that
literally
point,
rolled through your
that
out your
person
ear.
should just speak it out instead
Right.
of,
Right, going through all
What?
that.
Why are you making this
dramatic.
drag this out of you? What do you want to say? You've got something to say.
Right.
say it, or not. If
Which
not,
Phenom
then
does that all the time.
get a fucking
You'll hear
coloring
him
book.
wandering around just, well, and then
Tyler used to do that all the time.
I'm like, what? Exactly. What?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Boy, if you don't tell me
Mhm.
what's going on, I just Lola, I'm like, why didn't you start with that?
Yeah.
Why'd you make me drag it out of you?
And that's frustrating. It is very frustrating. Now, so as I've been working through my personal growth journey over the past few years, I find I do those sighs a lot more often instead of speaking out about it. For instance, things that should be done, I'll just look at it and go, like, because I used to explode and the bitching about it wasn't worth the fight and the argument.
Right.
And what I'm trying to train myself now is, well, is the sigh worth it either? Because, when my kids or Amanda hears those things, they're like, they know I'm pissed and angry. Yeah. And, and then they start, going at it. And then in my mind, I'm like, you should have just did it to begin with, in the beginning. So let's see. Sometimes overreaching.
Subtly.
Well, and this is a good point. Sometimes overreacting is the person wanting to be heard. We have to listen. Well, in that aspect, it goes back to, well, what? Don't be nonverbal about it. Be verbal about it. Vocalize what you have to say. There's got something on your mind. Don't, like, say it, And there's a way to say it without being mean or without, because some people don't want to speak up because they feel like they're going to be looked down on or talked down to.
Right.
Right. So you don't have,
or I'm going to make you mad or upset.
Right.
So I didn't want to say anything, but
right. And we got to learn, people who are reacting or responding to nonverbal cues and things like that got to learn how to handle it. We got to be able to take that feedback. Some people say they got their coloring book, so sometimes you just got to shut up and color.
Right.
Shut up and color. That's funny.
So, all right. So before we go on to the next area, you guys got anything else to add to that? Stay humble, remain humble. That's very true, and be self-aware. In our own nonverbal cues and our responses to people's nonverbal cues. And again, gave the example of I'll see something instead of being vocal about it, I'm more nonverbal about it, but it's causing the same problem. So I'm trying to be more aware. Maybe we just take it this way. What do you think I could do to, instead of doing that, and instead of, why the fuck did you do that? What do you think I could be? What do you think would be a more constructive way of handling that type of situation? I'm seeking counseling here.
To try to still confront the situation without
being an asshole,
the aggravation and everything.
I mean, but at the same time, you're human.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you went from exploding to just a simple sigh, like, that's growth.
That's huge growth.
You should never stop trying to grow, but like.
Well, and this is me trying to continue to grow.
Right.
Like, I guess just having a more open communication about the problem. Like, why am I sighing? Like.
Ultimately, you're stopping yourself from speaking.
Which is,
is not necessarily a bad thing if that means you're taking time to process your words.
Right.
And what you're going to say. A sigh can sometimes not necessarily be you can't control yourself. More or less, you're subconsciously controlling yourself. You're causing your brain to pause so that you can get your words together or process your thoughts, so that you can get them out.
Yeah.
It's not always, because
I still want to get my point across.
Right.
But I think
you're looking at it as your sigh is still a negative indication. And it's not necessarily negative if it's, if you're subconsciously using it to take a pause. and take a deep breath, and you're getting on my nerves, kid, or you're really starting to, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Instead of just exploding from the get go.
Right. I think.
You hear the train whistle before the train, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, that's your whistle.
I think
So
where my
that
problem
could
is
also
is
be part of.
I'm not following up with the sigh. I'm just moving on.
And then you walk away.
And then walking away, and then they see the sigh
Right.
or hear the sigh
Yeah.
or whatever, and then they go and take care of it. Again, in my mind, I want to say, well, why didn't you just do that? I shouldn't have to or say anything about it. Should have just been done.
Right.
So, what I gotta
To eliminate,
and this is
things
being
like that,
self-aware.
it's literally going up to them and this is what I.
This is
was
why
asked.
I got frustrated.
This
This is why I
is
got
why I'm
frustrated.
getting frustrated, so I don't have to and
Right.
yell and scream. Just please do this.
You
Get
think
this
I'm an
done.
asshole. You think I'm a jerk because of my reactions
But
and
this is the 4th time I've asked.
yeah.
And you wonder why I'm rolling my eyes and sighing and walking away from you. Well, yeah, I'm upset. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to do this repeatedly.
Stay humble and get out your coloring book. It's Chuck talking about coloring. Shut up and color. So, well, actually, that goes right into the next question here. How can we be more intentional with our own nonverbal communication? I guess being aware of the things that we're doing by self-awareness and other people bringing it to us, and going back a few episodes, that inventory of ourselves,
Right.
Checking our own reactions, our own personalities, and what can we do? Are we doing things right? Can we do things better? And we got to be self-aware of, our own actions.
Well, it's just like an apology. I'm sorry is 2 words. That doesn't work for me. An effective apology has action behind it.
I'm
I'm
sorry
gonna bring
for,
exactly, but
and these
I'm
are the
coming
things
to
I'm
you
doing.
saying, "Look, this is what I've done to wrong you or what have you. I have every intention moving forward to ensure that this does not happen again.
Right.
I'm not perfect, and it may, come a time where it starts happening or whatever. Check me, but I humbly apologize to you, you know.
Right.
It's the same thing with this kind of stuff.
Right.
If people are coming to you and saying, "Yo, you look like an asshole," like stand in front of the mirror and be like, "Damn, I do look like an asshole," and I'm showing everybody that.
But at the same time, if
not
that's how
good.
you are, though, you also shouldn't change who you are. People should get to know you and get to know that, yeah, I look like an asshole, but I'm not.
But I don't look.
Sometimes there could be a
approachable.
different.
But I don't look approachable when I look like I'm an asshole. So when I'm walking around in Walmart, now see, when I walk around
But should you
Walmart,
have-
everybody
But
talks to
should
me.
you have to change
No,
who you are to be approachable?
No.
Maybe some
Of
people
course.
don't
Some
want to
people
be
don't want to be
Right.
approachable. Right?
It's
Exactly.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
or they're
no,
just-
like, you don't necessarily know what they've gone through in their life. Maybe, their resting bitch face is a form of defense against, people they don't know.
Right.
Now, on the
Yeah.
contrary, look at them technical terms. Like
On
I'm
the
smart.
contrary.
Somebody might be upset because no one ever comes to them, but if they don't
They
take
don't
the
realize
if they
it's
don't
the-
take the feedback of, well, you're not approachable, you do have RBF, you're a jerk.
Right.
People don't want to come talk to you. No, they just don't know who I am.
Right.
Well,
Now you're taking offense to it.
That's not what I'm.
immediately.
That's
Right.
not what I'm saying, though. Like,
Some people, it's their defense
some
mechanism.
people,
I
it's
get
just
that.
their face.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
that's just their relaxed face. It looks like they're pissy, but they're not. You
Right.
shouldn't have to continuously not sit comfortable. You know what I mean? Like,
facial
you also need to
exercises.
get to know people and accept them for who they are. Now, if they're just a dick, then tell them they're being a dick. But I mean,
Right.
get to know them. And if that's
Someone
just
shouldn't
their
have
face,
to. Someone shouldn't have to
Because
change
if
their
it's not-
posture because
right? If
or
it's
whatever.
not just their face, they're gonna say, "Oh,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm dealing with this or whatnot." But they're like, "No, everything's fine." And you get to know them, then that's just their face. They can't help that. They
Right.
can't help
Yeah,
their bone structure. Like,
Right. Yep. Actually, I was talking to Dakota about this earlier. He's talking about getting a haircut and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't like getting haircuts personally because I had too many messed up haircuts. Plus, I'm receding and all that, so I like to keep what I have a little bit. That's why I wear a hat all the time.
Bald is beautiful.
So he and I were talking about, and I was like, when I do get a haircut, I feel better about myself, and when I shave, I feel better about myself. because when my hair starts growing, I look a lot older, right? And I look sad. People said I look sad when I have my beard long, like I look like I'm depressed and stuff like that. So when I do shave and I'm clean shaven, like I can see it in the mirror. I feel better about myself and I do look happier. But it's the same facial expression. You know what I mean? It's literally the same. So that's fits into your point exactly. Like someone has a beard and it hides all of this, and it can make them look completely different than with a clean shaven face.
Right.
So
Get to know your people.
right, man. One should have been a live chat. I don't know if anybody's been chatting. Has anybody been chatting in there at all?
Not really.
No, not really.
All right, cool. They're not on YouTube either. Cool. Just making
You
sure.
said the thinking face.
What's that?
Sometimes it's just the thinking face. And
Yep.
that's true.
Yep.
Because I've asked you a couple of times.
Mhm.
Goes back.
Not literally just
Know
a
your
dead
people.
stare, but like, and you could be literally talking to me, but I got 15 different things literally going on and
Yeah.
trying to process everything and put things in order in my mind
I do
and,
that
and
too.
all that. So like, I try to tell people my mind literally thinks like a database. Databases are made of, tables and, headers and I'm putting things in all these different areas, in my mind. It's processing like a database. So first in, first out, reorganize, and it's just the way it works. Okay, I just got a text. Are there cultural differences that you noticed of how nonverbal cues are used or interpreted? Cultural can be many different things, between races, countries, religions, things like that. I do think there are some other countries and stuff that don't vocalize as much as the U.S. people do.
Right.
They do observe more, right? And they're not like when I was in Afghanistan. A lot of the interpreters and stuff that we work with, they were pretty,
blank face.
like they didn't. Where Americans were a lot of, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky, but more energized and more things like that, and they were more reserved, right? But they were happy people. You know what I mean? So if you approached them and talked to them, get to know them, like they were good people, but they were pretty expressionless, most of the time.
And that mainly was for their work, I'm sure.
Could be. I mean, I think it was just the way they were. Even not even just the interpreters, but the other locals. They seemed pretty expressionless. But I do think, like in Afghanistan, they've been at war for years and years and years and years, so they've always been, oppressed or whatever, and so they've been in that defense mode, and it causes some of those type of reactions or display of emotion or whatever, or lack of emotion, maybe. So, what do y'all think about that? Cultural differences in.
I'm sure there are.
Have you experienced any?
Not off the top of my head.
No.
There's it's just like anything else. It's still a form of language, all across the world. We have all these different languages and body languages. I mean, grumpy is grumpy, you know what I mean? There's universal ones, but I think the majority of people in general worldwide, you know, basically see it the same way, where no, something's going on. The facial expression isn't right. They're not walking right. They're not carrying themselves right and stuff like that. Something's going on. And I think that's a worldwide thing. Now, the rolling of the eyes and stuff like that, depending on what country you're in, you could definitely get yourself into a world of trouble for that,
Yeah.
as opposed to here. You know what I mean? But I also think, depending on your socioeconomic standing too, like people who live in the hood have very different gestures and mannerisms when it comes to that kind of stuff than people who are, suburbs and laid back in the country and stuff like that.
Right.
If you watch the tale of what's it, Country Mouse goes to the big city or something like that, the city mouse was teaching the country mouse how he was like smiling all the time and said, "No, you can't do that because you're gonna get attacked by so and so and stuff like it's things that you're learned behaviors and things that
They
you're
ain't from
taught.
around here.
Right, exactly. It's things like that.
Right. You know, we talk about mental health quite often on this podcast. That's one of the big reasons it was started. That the nonverbals of the smiling and all that, sometimes it's a front as well. Right. So,
Mask.
and you got to be able to recognize that, again, knowing people and things like that, hearing nonverbal cues, seeing things that they do, nonverbal can also be secluding themselves.
Yeah.
Um, or expressing things that, a lot of suicide awareness things that, they'll talk about, giving things away,
Right.
like, oh, you can have that, I don't need it, but it's something they've cherished forever and ever, right? And they're just giving things away. Like, signs of those types of things are nonverbal cues of somebody maybe having a problem, or potentially could be a sign of somebody having a problem, but it goes back to what we talked about in the very beginning and all along, is confronting those situations. You know what I mean? You got to, hey, what's going on? Like, you've had that family Bible, and why are you giving that away?
Right.
That's your whole family's love that. Whatever. It's not that. I don't like. You got to be able to have these conversations, because confronting that one little thing might change that person's world that day and for the rest of their lives.
Right.
You don't ever know what type of impact it might have. So, and helping people also see the. I got a good example of nonverbal, right? When you were sculpting and stuff like that, because I was about to say something about self-actualization. People have to realize the things that they're doing and the impact that they have, not only on the people around them, but themselves, right? When you're doing things, you're verbal about it, but you're also nonverbal, like your facial expressions when you're sculpting these things and you're making these things, and how proud you are of yourself of that. That, I think, because I know how it affects me when I am proud of myself, it makes you want to grow more and build more, right? So your nonverbals of your, like, oh my God, I did that, like you see that, right? And it's infectious to the people around you, right? So seeing those things and being able to recognize them and helping people realize what they're doing does matter, and continue pushing forward. I know I use you an example. You don't like that, like you called out on the spot, but
Yeah.
it's relative to this conversation.
Right. I got you.
Oh, and the role of feedback.
What do you think it was going to be something?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh God, what
On
on
the
you
other
now?
end. Right.
So here's the thing, and this is what you've done. Hey, I noticed you seemed distant earlier. Is everything okay? Or hey, something's going on. Like, no, I'm good. Or no, like, I'm frustrated because But again, it's not confronting, like, oh, you mother. It's
right.
it's addressing the situation,
Right.
just to make sure. Check on that person. Like, hey, I notice difference in you. Are you okay?
That was like Chucky and I. We just
Well,
had that a week ago.
last week.
Yeah.
Yep. You just got to talk.
It's like I don't get to spend time with you anymore and all this other stuff. I'm like, honestly, I have not been feeling well. I'm trying to get things set up with these doctors and all this stuff and try and figure out the root of the issue and stuff like that. And by the time you're home and available to hang out and stuff, I'm ready to put my ass to bed.
Right.
I mean, that's the truth of it.
Right.
And then, it's just timing sometimes, just
Right.
not enough hours in the day.
Then he's a transition between work
Right,
and
exactly.
jobs and stuff like that. So, so this is nonverbal and verbal cues should be treated with equal importance. It goes back to, like, if someone's crossing their arms after you say something, say you're giving a presentation, and someone just all of a sudden, they might be pissed, or
they're cold,
or they're thinking, or there's so many things. But if they said something, you would confront it. You would ask them to clarify. Ask them if you think it's a problem or you think something's going on. Have them clarify their expressions, right? Because it's just as important to clarify the nonverbal as it is the verbal. And then you mentioned,
because just like you were talking about with the suicide awareness and stuff like that, all of us, their head is always up here, and for the last 2 or 3 days, their head's down here, and they're looking at the ground, and they're kicking rocks around, and just like lost looking. That right there should give you pause to find out what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Especially if
Like
you
I
know your
said, that
people in
could
your
save,
circle.
yeah, somebody from jumping off the bridge. I'm telling you.
Right. You know, exercising or encouraging awareness, right? I mentioned the thing about, you know, you're nonverbal about, I say you were verbal about, hey, I did this, but your expressions showed a lot more of the happiness and the excitement about it. But you being aware that we see that should help you. I hope helps you, because what you're doing with that stuff for the short period of time is actually pretty amazing. So you being able to see that, your nonverbal expressions, you know, we see that you're happy, right? We sense that. You mentioned mirror exercises, right? Someone tells me I'm a you know, an RBF, like, really? And I look, oh, dang, I am. Like, what the hell? Like, or maybe I should shave it, change things up, you know? But don't take those things offensively or personally, because someone's having the feedback with you to try to help you, especially if they're in your circle, right? Like, don't let people in your circle offend you.
Right. It's
Right.
constructive
Yeah.
criticism.
It should be intended, or they shouldn't be in your circle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then being honest about it. Well, we talked about this weeks ago, you know, someone who, I got to find it. It was something about someone who can't be honest can never tell the truth. It was something like that. Because if you can't be honest and communicate and tell someone how you feel or how something looks, how does this make me look? Well, you look fat in it. If you can't be honest, or how does that taste? It tastes like shit. If you
Right.
can't be honest about it, then you can never tell the truth, you know? Or no, if you're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings, you can
Right.
never tell the truth. That's what it was. So
But see, there's a tactful way. You know,
right.
you can still give an honest response. You know what I mean? Does this dress make my ass look big? Well,
Bigger than normal.
it's just I don't think that's the color for it,
Right.
because it's not accentuating, it's enhancing it in
How about
a
this?
negative way.
How about this one, Amanda? How does this look? I don't like that one. Well, I like it. Well, then why'd you ask me?
Right.
Well, and this goes back to like your circle. Like, you know how we all joke around, we cuss a lot and stuff
Right.
like that, you know, like, how's this? Oh, that tastes like shit. You know, I'm going to say that because, you know, and I know it's not going to hurt you. And I hope you know my intention isn't to hurt your feelings.
Right.
And if it did, I hope you know that you can come to me and say, hey, that really hurt my feelings. I would,
Thank God he hasn't said that to me.
oh no, this man can cook. And Margaret can
Yeah.
cook.
Yeah.
He's got the Italian down. She's got the Southern down.
Right.
So it's, like I said, there's a chef competition going on in this household.
Like, we're gonna have Iron Chef
more
up
often,
in here.
right?
Yeah. We can start doing the like a whole buffet layout. You know?
And have
There you
taste
go.
test.
Circle around.
Craft services.
And another important thing is making sure we all understand that everybody communicates differently.
Right.
And responds to things differently too. So we got to be aware, not only of ourselves, but other people and their sensitivity level.
Mhm.
You know, some people have thicker skin than others, right? So we got to be able to understand where that is.
Oh, there's been several times where I've actually said we need to talk to some of these people and turn that sensitivity button way down.
Oh yeah,
They're like
Down.
we
at
literally
an
just
8,
had some of these
they need to
conversations.
be at a 3.
We got a lot going on around here. There's no need to,
It's like, please don't add to the list with all that.
you know, and if people are gonna be too sensitive, like they gotta,
They're not gonna survive.
yeah,
Not in this world.
picking up
You have
that
to take
thing a little
We're
bit.
trying to prep
sensitivity
you.
into consideration, but ultimately, it's their responsibility.
Right.
Right.
It is their responsibility to also tell that person that they offended them.
Exactly.
Like, you
Right.
can't just, you know,
And then just storm off.
my feelings.
Exactly. And tell 15 people.
No, and then like No, that's causing problems.
Right.
It's
No,
not
I mean, I
necessary.
agree.
So
What I'm saying is, like, at the same time, if you're hella sensitive and you're gonna be around like us, like a group of people that are going like
military
if we don't
construction.
pick on you, we don't
Right.
like you kind of stuff,
Yeah.
then you know, it's your responsibility if you continuously get offended, that's on you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you're
Like
sticking
If we're
around.
not picking on
no
you,
one
we
should
don't
have to
like you
tiptoe
then.
around on eggshells to
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
Maybe the
to a
circle isn't your
level
circle.
there's a little bit of self, you gotta hold
Yep.
yourself accountable there too.
Yep. Completely agree.
And I agree with you 100%. If you bring constructive criticism to someone's table and they take it personally and in a negative way and storm off, that is their problem.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
a them problem.
you brought that to their attention. Now that's a you problem. You go over there.
They should appreciate, that you took the time. Like
Right. As
they
long as
care enough to
weren't
talk to you about it.
belligerent about it. Right.
I mean,
Sometimes
sometimes it's warranted.
necessary.
Sometimes. Yeah. But
But that's not constructive criticism.
no.
That's just I'm just criticizing your shit.
Yep.
I'm calling you out on something.
If someone comes to, this is just again a personal opinion, someone takes the time to come to you and talk to you and confront you about, even if it's a problem, they care enough about your
You want to
relationship.
fix it.
Right.
Right. And work on it.
So try to step back a little bit, sigh instead of vocally,
Right,
verbally
exactly.
reacting and process.
Yep.
Right? We say all the time, thanks Tanya,
Feelings are not facts.
They're valid,
but they are
Valid.
relevant.
are not facts.
But
Yes.
they're not facts.
So we have to take it all, lay it out virtually on that table,
Yep.
and pick and build the true story,
Mhm.
not the story we're trying to build in our head, right? So it's important, this self-awareness, this self-check, and mindset, right? The mindset matters. If you focus on the negative side or the negative side of everything, oh, all these bad things could happen, but yeah, there's so many other positives though that could also come out of that same situation. If you have that negative mindset, you probably have an RBF. I'm just kidding.
Well,
You're never gonna have any fun around here.
right. The law of attraction is one of my favorite ones. Attract what you want in your life. The universe doesn't
Money,
care,
money, 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 money.
right? But are you looking at it on the all positive way of that, though?
Money
I
does
know, I
not
was
buy
kidding. I was
happiness,
It
trying to
doesn't buy
attract-
happiness and stuff.
but it can
Okay.
buy tattoos, and tattoos make me happy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Pay off my bills, and that makes me happy. No, I was being silly, and you said attract what you want in life. Money, money, money.
Well,
But
but
money.
the universe doesn't understand positive or negative thought. So when we're putting out all this negativity and we're surrounded by nothing but negativity, well, that's all you're giving the universe. That's all it understands to give back to you. If you change that mindset,
It is.
look at
I will say
look
that's
at
a
Amanda
fact.
right there. Look at Amanda.
I would say that's a fact. I don't think that's an opinion.
The turnaround is 180 degrees, literally.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you didn't change anything the universe was giving back to you. You're just looking at it in a different light.
No, you're putting positive energy and a positive mindset to the universe.
And all those negatives
you
you
didn't
used to
get
think,
that in
Yeah.
return.
You're getting
you're seeing the positive
now.
out of it
Right. You
instead
didn't
of the
actually
negative.
change. You changed your mindset and your perspective, and you're no longer seeing just the negative.
So that
Right.
is a change. If
You're not changing what you're getting out of the universe.
No.
You just said yourself, it doesn't know negative and positive.
right.
If this is what you're putting in, this is what you're getting out. So if you start changing your mindset into a positive mindset, you're not changing anything the universe is going to give you. You know what I
No,
mean?
but
you're not.
your
But your
perception.
perception of the event
Right.
is going to change. You're
Right.
going to see things in a more positive way, more
But you
positive
can
light.
Yep.
utilize that, to the fact you can use that against the universe in essence.
Yeah, I
Instead of,
don't have any
getting
good
that
luck.
attraction.
I don't
Right,
have any.
exactly.
The world's against me and all that stuff.
What's
Not
your mindset?
yeah.
Change your mindset and get
All of a
of
sudden,
that
the
back.
world is now giving you positive, right?
But is it not? But was
a
it not
perspective.
giving you positive before, and you just
You weren't seeing it, right?
Exactly.
It's,
That's
it's a
what I'm saying.
perspective. Yeah, it's a
It's all about-
perspective.
It's a
You're not
mindset.
necessarily changing
Right.
what is what's going to happen is going to happen. It's about how your mindset is.
Yeah,
with
how you perceive
situation.
it. Yep.
Right, because the exact same thing can happen to two different people, and one have a positive mindset and one negative, and then view it completely different.
And likely the person who sees the negative out of it probably has a more miserable life overall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the cliches we talked about before, cliches matter. Like, there is a positive out of every situation.
Mhm.
You can literally take a positive out of every situation.
No
If
matter
you
how
allow
negative it
yourself
is,
to.
you-
Some people
if
will say,
you
no,
know
there's
it.
no way.
Right.
My
yeah.
mom died. Well, she's better off now. She's in a much better place. Well, I just lost my job. Well, maybe it wasn't a job for you. Tomorrow you might get even a better job. Or now you can focus on doing your own thing, and now you can relax, everything can be turned into a positive. It's a matter of how we perceive it. The universe doesn't have the, would you say, the understanding
It
of,
doesn't understand
yeah,
the
but
difference.
your mind can. It can perceive it completely different. And like you said, the exact same situation, if you sat there and thought about all the negatives, yeah, it's going to be negative. If you sit there and try to pick out the positives, you'll probably turn out with a positive situation and a positive outcome afterwards. All right, so what? Is it comments?
What?
Everett, if you drive 5 hours to an event that closes early, do you look at it as I wasted my time, or do you look at it as I got to spend quality time with friends and family?
Listen, I don't want to hear it. I understand. So had we not closed, we would have had the same situation. I think we got to spend more positive structured time together, I guess.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah. So for those of you,
heard.
so those of you who don't know, the first weekend was okay. The second weekend we had a good time together.
We had a great time together.
We did close early, a few hours early, and Everett drove quite a ways to be here with us to enjoy the event and everything. And although I do apologize, we did close early. It was the right thing to do for the situation. We did spend a lot of good time together, and nobody was complaining about anything, and all the kids, everybody had a good time, and we didn't waste more of the nonprofit money, right? Because we would have had to pay a few more hours, a few more $100 worth of money for the sheriff and all that stuff. So, so there's that, and then the people who had to leave were able to leave, and all that, or wanted to leave were able to leave.
I meant it as a positive mindset versus negative mindset.
Yeah,
yeah, we got what you're saying.
Yeah, we got it. Mm-hmm. I am very happy that you came. I'm glad we were able to see you finally. We were been waiting to see you again, because without you, we wouldn't have met JoJo and Peanut, and without LA, we wouldn't have been able to meet Everett. So, hello. So, again, positive mindset matters. Verbal and nonverbal communication. Speaking of it, Everett, your expressions, man, they set some people off. People being me. I'm just kidding. Total joke. No, Everett, I do apologize. Now you got me in my feels now.
No, there ain't nothing to apologize for. Stop. He was messing with you.
There's a lot of positive that came out of last week.
Yeah, and he enjoyed himself. He enjoyed hanging out with everybody. He was just picking at you.
And I did ask him if he wanted to go through. We would have walked him through. We would have let him.
Yeah, we would have let him play the game. He never would have solved puzzles.
No,
They wanted it to be Peanut and I taking him through it. I was like, well, I can't go through it.
You know everything.
I know where everything's at.
I got all the codes.
But Peanut, he was like, no, I don't.
So the event, Shenanigans Shamrock Escape, we had poor dates. The concept, I think it is
killer.
It is. There's so many good things about it. It was just bad timing. A lot of the dates were wrong.
There were too many other things going on around us.
So maybe we don't do a Shenanigans. Maybe we can look at dates something else and do it. I think it will do very well for us, actually. And we just need more time, So anything else before we close out the session? We're right at an hour. Got a couple closing things and some call to action here, and then final.
I think we definitely covered all this.
Yep. It is self-awareness, right? We talk about this a lot on many of our podcasts, actually. And there's a common concept behind a lot of the things we talk about, and it's about self-awareness and being a good person. Like sometimes it takes a very conscious effort to try to be a better person, right? Like you said, the apologies, I'm sorry, doesn't fix it. Your actions fix whatever it is. I'm sorry because I was a total douchebag to you, and I promise you I will never do it again. And this is what I'm doing. Right. But please understand, I'm human and I might slip up. So please slap me around and keep me in check. Yep. Please don't slap me around.
That's an apology.
Yes. And your actions totally speak completely different than just I'm sorry, because you can say I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We hear that as a kid, say you're sorry, but that's not. No. And actually, when I start to have grandkids, I'm going to ingrain that in them. You're sorry, but what are you sorry for? What did you do to hurt that person's feelings or whatever? And what are you going to do? Because I think that's the part that needs to be ingrained in people. And at a young age, I think would help a lot. Say all that because if we all did what we're doing here, half of what we're doing here, a quarter of what we're doing here, the world would be a better place. I like that, what you brought back from the meeting. And it's a fact, it's true. So many people are so worried about what they have going on in their life and what they want and what they need and all that. There's other people that need it too, right?
Worse.
Yeah.
Far worse.
And
they're not getting it because there are too many other people out there saying, well, we're not going to make enough of a difference doing it here.
Right.
This little bit you're doing here, we're going to connect you with a church over here that's going to help you get what you need for there. And they're going to tie you to this. And once you build this network, what you called that little bit is better than the person sitting on the couch saying we're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's like a snowball. You have this church that has all these needs, but they don't know who else is out there who's willing to help or is helping, but don't know how to get the help to the support or the people it needs to get to. Right. So that's what we're trying to do, and we will do. Yes. The Rise Together Middle Georgia, getting all the nonprofits, all the businesses, all the people who want to help and get everything to where it needs to be. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing about all of this, even the people who are homeless and have all these things, and we give that, there's still people in a worse off situation. Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing. But the awareness is, if we all did these little things, the world would be a better place. We will never solve world hunger. We will never solve world peace, but we can solve community peace and community hunger issues. At least aid them
within ourselves,
right,
and those around us.
When you leave this world, how are you going to feel like you accomplished a good person? Were you a good person? Are the things you could have done better? For instance, when your mom passes or your dad passes or whatever, are you sitting there saying, "Oh, I wish I would have," or "I could have," or what are you doing now to make sure you have done those things? Right? Because don't go regret. Yep. Don't live life in regret because you could have, would have, and should have. You know what I mean? But then again, philanthropy and helping other people out isn't everybody's cup of tea either. Right. Some people it makes them uncomfortable. But there's also, if you're uncomfortable going out, there's ways of donating. There's products and time, other ways and things like that. If you're not comfortable being around the people, right? You don't have to be. There's so many ways to make an impact and make a difference in the world. So, anything final before I do close it out? All right. Take a moment this week to become more aware of your nonverbal communications. If you got to do the facial, exercises, fix your face, check somebody, let them be aware of their RBF. Let people let you be aware of your RBF. Don't take it to offense. Thicken your skin up a little bit, and work on it. Take that self inventory yourself. and work on it. And that's all it takes. It takes a conscious effort with a lot of these things. Life takes a conscious effort. You can't just sit around and expect things to come to you and expect things to happen without making some or taking some type of action. Offer gentle feedback to someone else if you think you can improve the connection. Like, you know somebody or you don't know somebody, get to know them. Talk to them, know who they are, know their normals, their normalcies, and then when they're out of their normalcies, and reach out to them. Communication is more than words. It's in our expressions, our gestures, and our presence, right? Being there for somebody is a nonverbal. Sometimes somebody just, like years ago, I just needed somebody there, right? I didn't need them to talk to me. I just needed them there with me and for me. That can make the world a difference. I'm here. I'll be a shoulder. Sometimes when you're there for somebody and you're talking to them, no matter what you say is going to change their mind or change their opinion or change their situation. So there's been times where I've tried to speak, and all it does is causes other problems. So I'm just there to listen.
Right.
And sometimes we have to be aware of that as well. So thanks for being here. Let's continue to discuss, reflect, and transform. And remember, sometimes it's not what we say, but how we exist in the moment that matters. Awareness of the unspoken gives us the power to connect more deeply, be brave enough to see it, and be kind enough to call it out when we care and show that we care. All right. Everybody have a good night.
We have a song.
We do have a song. We do have the disclaimer again. The disclaimer says this, but this is not meant to be professional help. These are opinions. I did say one thing was a fact earlier, but again, that was my opinion. And if you do need help, there is help in our disclaimer. I'm here, but please seek out professional help if and when you need it. And if you feel someone in your life needs that help, get that help for them. Again, it could a simple gesture out to somebody can change their day and their life and their family's life. So be kind, love one another. We'll talk to y'all later. Listen to the song. Please listen to the song. It's very relevant to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on Courage to Converse. Our intention is to discuss tough topics, reflect on personal experiences, and explore paths for growth and understanding. I want to acknowledge that some of these conversations may have touched on sensitive or challenging issues. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or support. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available to help. In the U.S., you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME to 741741 to reach the crisis text line. Remember, our goal here is to spark meaningful conversations while fostering respect, understanding, and personal growth. See you next time.
You didn't say a single word, but the sound cut like glass. A roll of eyes, a distant look, and now the moment's passed. We speak in shrugs and shifting feet. A glance can build or break. It's not the voice that hits the hardest, it's the space that we create. Do you know what your body says when your lips don't move at all? A smile can pull me closer, or a stare can make me fall. Unspoken signs, they speak the loudest in between the lines we draw. Every glance a loaded message, every silence, every flaw. If you want me to understand you, let your eyes and hands align. Don't just speak, connect with meaning. Let me read your unspoken signs. You said you're fine, but not your face. Your words and tone don't match. It's like your soul was screaming out, but locked behind a latch. I've had had my share of frozen walls when all I needed was a nod. So now I'm watching more than hearing, learning people, learning flaws. 'Cause how you shift and how you breathe can say more than a speech. Sometimes we need a little grace to meet where words can't reach. Unspoken signs, they speak the loudest in between the lines we draw. Every glance a loaded message, every silence, every flaw. If you want me to understand you, let your eyes and hands align. Don't just speak, connect with meaning. Let me read your unspoken signs. So if I cross my arms too tight, or if I seem a little cold, don't be afraid to ask me why. There's always more beneath the fold. We all just want to feel seen, even when we don't say a thing. Unspoken signs, they speak the loudest, even louder than a scream. They can heal or leave you broken, shape the truth or paint a dream. If we want a real connection, let our presence realign. More than words, we need compassion to read and share unspoken signs. You didn't say a single word, but the silence cut like glass. A roll of eyes, a distant look,